Welcome to Brews 101. I wanted to do these cool short little mini episodes to explain and help describe some of the main beer types and variations along with the types of liquors and stuff I'll have on the show. I want to also further explain brewing and distilling methods. We'll dive into the different types of alcohols and their uses. So come hang out with me, we'll learn something cool, and I will try my best, I promise, not to bore you to death. So we'll start out with the two major types of beer, ales and lagers. So whenever a beer starts out and it's getting brewed, it's always going to be either an ale or a lager. And then there's specific styles and flavors continue to evolve from there. The broad, huge ale category has a bunch of different types of beer, including pale ales, India pale ales, porters, stouts. They got wheats, Belgian styles. Now, the lagers encompass a range of styles, including the pale pilsners and the darker American lagers. You know, beers like Coors Light, Budweiser, Sam Adams, those are going to be your more popular lagers that you'd find on the shelves. And what makes them a lager is they're brewed with bottom fermenting yeast that has a lower tolerance to alcohol, kind of making them a little lighter tasting and a little maltier tasting. So they're going to taste a little more clean, a little more consistent, a little more, well-made. Not particularly challenging on the flavor. Lagers make a great entry point to anybody who's trying to get into the whole beer field, who's trying to become maybe a beer connoisseur. If you're just trying to drink some good beer, lagers are a great place to start. Now, unlike lager, ales are created through top fermentation, a process in which yeast ferments at warmer temperatures and then settles at the top of the beer, or the top of the vat, and doesn't take quite as long as a lager to brew. They're going to get a lot of their flavor from their hops and their herbs and their citrus and fruity additions, I guess you could say. They can be bitter and contain high alcohol levels. And they can be super sweet and they can be super strong and bitter. I mean, there's just a huge variety in ales. But if you're looking to try something that's a little easier to drink, something a little more malty, medium bodied, try out the pale ales. They're going to have a little lower alcohol content. They're going to be just a little lighter tasting. They're not going to be quite as heavy. Not quite as bitter. If you're looking for something that's a little more on the sweet side, you can get yourself a sweet stout. And a lot of those originate from Ireland and England. Stout beers are sweet, full-bodied, slightly roasty ale that can suggest coffee and cream or sweetened espresso hints and tones. While the darker color kind of can give the beer the impression that it's going to be tough to drink, stouts are kind of cool because they carry sweetness from unfermented sugars that offset any bitterness. However, over here in America, we combine the typical dark body and creamy notes with the hoppy and bitter flavors, kind of characterized by our popular beers over here. Our stouts are really strong, highly roasted, bitter and hoppy with a high malt flavor that gives them a taste of coffee or dark chocolate. So if coffee's your thing, guys, might want to give a stout a try. That's going to wrap it up for this episode. In future episodes, we'll go more in depth. We'll go into the science about it. We'll go into some theory. We'll tell some stories. I'll bring some guests on that kind of know what they're talking about a little bit better than I do. So until next episode, thanks for listening, guys.